Fist flying, no bounds. Podcast kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Sunday after a good day of fights yesterday. Good morning of fights, I should say. Had some decent fights throughout the UFC Baku card, and now we have a week off coming up. So it's a damn shame. We got, we had a couple fight nights in between the two big events, and then we have an extra week where we have nothing, but that's okay. Like I said before, I got some things in mind for content for Thursday, depending on what happens this weekend for the 4th of July and stuff like that. I'll see what goes down for Sunday. More than likely I'll be on with something. It's just a matter of what. We'll see if we have some combat sports news, MMA news, happening news, and announcements or any other kind of stuff that might come up. Otherwise, I'll come up with something. But Thursday, I will have a show, and yeah, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. I have stuff in mind. So, there's always a week off here and there when it comes down to, the amount of times there's fights every weekend, the amount of times a month there's a fight. There's always at least one weekend in there where there's nothing going on. So, but right now Zuffa boxing's happening, Zuffa 8, I think. And, yeah, I just watched the end of that last fight, which was pretty good. One of the guys just was getting battered and got wobbled on his feet. The ref was about to finish, was about to end it, and he let it go because it was like the last few seconds of the round. Felt like we could have had some reffing like that going on in these, some of these fights this past weekend, but nothing too crazy, man. There was some big finishes and some good finishes happening in the Baku card. The main card only had 2 decisions, and only one of them was somewhat of I wouldn't say a boring fight, but it definitely wasn't as exciting as the rest of the fights on the main card. So 2 decisions out of 6 fights. Yeah. We had 4 finishes, 2 KO TKOs and 2 submissions. So not too bad for a main card. It's not all finishes like the White House card, but what up, John? How you doing? Welcome in. But it is, it was pretty good. We had some decisions happening in the, not too bad, man. Not too bad. Hanging in there. Too bad it's Sunday, but glad to be here talking about some MMA. But tomorrow's Monday, back to work. So yeah. Would you rather have been Prime Tony versus Khabib or Prime Beneil? Tony versus Khabib for sure. Because Beneil versus Islam, I mean, that would have been fun, but I don't think that was as highly anticipated as Tony versus Khabib. The amount of times they tried to make that happen and the amount of hype around that fight, I just wonder if Tony would have been able to keep up with Khabib at all. I mean, just showing he was a beast back in those days. Tony was, but how do you think Prime Benny would do against Khabib? I mean, I think the power he had back in the day maybe might have been an issue for Khabib, but I think Khabib would have just done to him what he did to everybody else. I just think that Khabib's game plan and fight IQ was too much for a lot of people back when he was in his prime. And I think Beneil always lacked a little bit of something. You know what I mean? He was a beast, and he got some great fights in there, had some great finishes and some great performances, but Beneil just always lacked that one thing to get him over the hump of becoming big. So not too bad, Antoine. Not too bad. Felt pretty short, but I can't complain too much, man. It was a decent weekend. I was productive around the house, and got some stuff taken care of that I was planning on doing. My younger daughter was out of town on a vacation, and obviously my older daughter's gone, so we had the house to ourselves, and it was just chill. We just kind of chilled for the most part, but we had a lot of stuff around the house to do, so we got that done. It's been hot as fuck in Atlanta. It's like 88 degrees at night. Welcome to the club, buddy. It's 93 degrees here right now. What's up? All is good. But
What's happening with you, man?
But I listen, if you're not used to the heat, when it's unusually hot in places, yeah, I get it, man. The heat sucks. So my daughter was in San Diego and she said it was beautiful there. I was like, wow, yeah, it's California, you know what I mean? And being by the beach, she said the water was actually cold. It was cold at nights over there. I'm like, damn, do I wish that we had that going on here. But that's how it goes, man. It's hot as shit over here, I'll tell you that much. What's the hottest year you had recently in Arizona? I don't remember. I don't remember. We get up to those triple digits and we get into like the 110 or above. I quit thinking about it, man. It's bad enough. We've already gotten up to like 108, 109 here. But it's worse in Phoenix for Infinity, who's usually in the chat. Phoenix is hotter than Tucson by a few degrees. So have you ever been to a Suns game? No, I haven't. Mini Octagon Romaine. Yeah, I did have the watch party. I actually was on for 6 hours doing the prelims and the main card, which is unusual for me. I usually just go on for the main card, mainly because otherwise I'd have to be on for 6 hours, and that's a lot of damn time. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it and it was fun, and it's cool to do, but having other things to do, the timing is all that worked out on that one. That's why, because I was gonna do the main card regardless. So for me to go be able to do a little bit extra earlier when basically my wife was going to be asleep anyway, I did that. So yeah, UFC Baku watch party podcast happened yesterday morning and it was fun. All is good was in there. I think John was in there for a minute, huh? Had a few other guys in there, and then we just had a bunch of randos that came in, a couple new people that came in and talked it up too. That was cool. And yeah, it was a fun time. But Baku was good and the weekend was pretty good, and now we're gonna wrap it up here soon for the weekend and have to wake up and get to work in the morning, and that sucks. But that's Sunday going to Monday. I'm grateful to have a job, and I just got to get back to that grind of all the stuff that goes on at work. And it's okay. We don't have anything big or crazy going on right now, but I just always wonder what Mondays hold for us, because sometimes things go haywire. And we did have a pretty big storm down here over the, not over the weekend, but like, Thursday night was crazy. And then, I heard of little bits going on here throughout the city and stuff. So it's just like, yeah, we'll see what's broken tomorrow morning. That's kind of how I go into Mondays. But other than that, though, it's been a good weekend, and I got the U of A fit on. Like I said, with the hats, I had a few new ones given to me for Father's Day. This is one of them. I thought was pretty cool, a little different. The other Wildcat hat I got as well was the baby blue too, but more red on it, and I like this one too. So I got one more, and that's perfect for Thursday's podcast, being that we're gonna be coming up on 4th of July for that one. So it's going to be perfect for that. So you'll see the last of the new hats coming up on Thursday. But before we get too much further, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my sponsor, of course, Noctane Smelling Salts. Got to get a whiff of this and get the night started right, because obviously it keeps you awake and alert. You shake it up to get that little reaction going inside the bottle, and makes it nice and strong. And this is the most potent cap. Have you got any? Actually, I have it on right now, Antoine. I did watch the end of that last fight. I watched highlights from the one big knockout earlier. One of them I watched the highlight for. What was his name again? He was a junior of sorts. I forgot his name already. Damn it, I just saw it. But yeah, that was a hell of a right hand. It was nice, and I have the fights on right now. So I figured I'd leave it on because I was watching it while I was waiting to get started here. So yeah, I do have them on right now. De Los Santos versus Valenzuela happening right now. Zuffa Boxing, Zuffa 8. First round of that fight is starting right now. So I'll be taking a look at that while we're talking about the UFC Baku card. So let me take a big whiff of this Noctane Smelling Salts. Oh. It was like, whew, it hit and then it kind of went away. So I sniffed again and it hit again. Oh my God. Oh. All right. Yeah, this is the most potent bottle. I always use the most potent one because I think I'm just used to it. But they have different potencies. They have different scents. Scan that QR code on the screen, or there's a link in the description below, as usual, under all my videos and lives and stuff. So you can always check out Noctane Smell and Salt. Appreciate the sponsorship, Noctane. And yeah, that's it for that. So we'll see what the rest of the Zuffa boxing match. Ooh, that was a big left hand he just landed right now. Yeah, so don't mind me. I don't have it up top today. I have it right below. I have an extra, my travel monitor that I take with me to have a second screen while I'm out of town. I keep that down there for anything little extra stuff that I want to throw up, like this right now. So it's kind of perfect. Usually I'll turn on that TV and you know, put on Paramount Plus, but today I just left it there because I already had it up on the computer. So yeah, it's cool. We'll leave the boxing on and I'll take little glances at it and see what's going on with it. But let's get into talking about UFC Baku, because that's pretty much all I got for today. I want to, you know, recap the fight. Watching from Northeast India, mate. Damn, that's awesome. W Ken, appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in, man. All the way from Northeast India. That's crazy. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. I hope you like the show. Chandler should be looking for the Jim Miller fight, if no retirement. Yeah, that's probably a good shout, man. Honestly, it's not a bad fight. You know, I don't know that Jim Miller will engage with Chandler the way other guys do. He's a little smarter than that, so he's gonna have to, you know, he's gonna try to bait Chandler in to a fight, more of his type of fight instead of whatever Chandler wants to do. Maybe Chandler would actually use some of his wrestling in that case, huh? Because Jim Miller's a bit of a smarter fighter than most of the... I don't want to say the guys that he's been fighting aren't smart, but they're just so good that they're able to just implement what they want. Hey, appreciate you, Happy. How you doing? I just don't have anything worthwhile to say, so I just listen. It's all good, Happy. I appreciate the support no matter what, man. You could just drop in and say hi. Let me know you're here. I appreciate that. You know, just jump in and say that, and that's all you got to do. But thanks for checking it out, man. I appreciate it. Haven't seen you in a minute. I saw you in the Trekkie show the other day. Yeah, thanks. Hope you've been good too. And yeah. Yo, this fight is yeah, I was watching. That's kind of why I was hesitating a little bit, because I was watching some of the action going on. First round, pretty exciting, man. This Zuffa boxing's been pretty good. So but yeah, appreciate the support, Happy. Thanks. Oh, I have been here for most of your shows. I just never have anything to add. I love lamp. Are you talking about the light back there? Or you know, I've been misunderstanding what people have been saying. So forgive me if that's not what you're saying, but it's hilarious. Would you ever have considered a boxing career back? Actually, I did take some boxing, you know, classes and stuff like that. I'm mostly just to stay in shape. I would have loved to have actually done some fighting. It's a joke for me. Oh, got you. See, I told you, I'm slow. I'm watching these fights. I'm thinking about what I'm about to talk about. I appreciate it, man. That's funny. I forgot about Anchorman. I haven't seen Anchorman in a minute. Definitely got to watch that again soon though, because it's one of those movies I forget about when I'm looking for something to just put on in the background. That's definitely one of the ones I like watching in the background for sure. No, it's all good, man. I appreciate everybody's kind of humor, and it's fun to get the different aspects of everyone, because sometimes I never know when people are trolling either, you know what I mean? And I know, like, you're not really don't really seem like the trolling type, so it's all good. It's all entertaining, man. And I love talking to everybody on the chat too. So I'm here to do what I'm here to do, but I'm also here to talk it up with everybody and have a good time. So again, I appreciate you for being here, man. Whether you're jumping in the chat or not, just say hi whenever you're here. That's all you gotta do, man. Just say hi. You don't have to mix up anything else if you don't want to, but let me know you're here. Let me know you're good to go with life and everything. I appreciate hearing about that as well. So, all right, let's get into this UFC Baku card. Yeah, get started on that. like I said, we had a pretty good, fun night of fights, man. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like looking at the card after the initial drop of the card, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, this actually has some pretty good fights. I'm looking into more of the fights, and it just felt like it was gonna be have some promising fights on it. So, and you know, when they're overseas like this in Azerbaijan or somewhere like that, when you got the kind of the guys coming from those areas that are fighting in the fights, you don't know if you're gonna be getting some favoritism from the judges and stuff like that. Oh, Valenzuela just knocked down De Los Santos. Ooh, that was a nasty uppercut. Holy shit. I'm gonna be reacting to these fights as we go because that was bad. That was a hell of a, I think he just knocked him out. Yeah, he's done. Wow, that was nice. That was a crazy knockout, and he's hurt bad on the ground. Wow, Valenzuela with that knockout. That was like second round, I think. Damn. Yeah, so my daughter's been good in her new surroundings. She's struggling a little bit with, you know, feeling homesick and stuff like that, but you know, she's gonna pull through. She's strong. Zuffa Boxing continues to deliver. Yeah, I mean, you know, they took a little break there for a bit, so you know, coming back, they got some good fighters in here and some good matchups happening. So that was exciting. Valenzuela looks like he's okay, or De Los Santos, I'm sorry. He's up and awake now, but man, he was out on that mat for a second, and yeah, that was a nasty uppercut. So anyway, maybe I need to just start covering Zuffa Boxing a little more, but it seems like the events keep happening on Sunday nights when I'm in here, and you know, I might just do a little more of this where I react throughout the show while I'm watching, because you know, I want to do the recap show. I don't want to turn it into nothing but a watch party, but I will react to whatever big things are happening. And oh, it wasn't an uppercut, it was a right hook. I thought it was, I looked right at the last second and I thought it was an uppercut. It was a right hook. That was nice though, real nice. Okay, anyway, UFC Baku, yeah, like I said, some good matchups and some good fights, man. From the prelims all the way through, you know, like I said, I actually jumped in and watched all of it on stream. And yeah, that first fight was a little bit that first fight, man, of the prelims was a weird one, and I was like, no, let's not have this kind of a night happen. And then the second fight was a good fight. I wasn't too sure about the way the outcome was, and I'm still haven't been convinced really, but we'll get into that, you know. But then we had some good exciting fights happen after that, and it got into a roll of finishes after one decision, and then we had another decision to end off the prelims. So we'll get into those, but we're going to start off with the main card, and we're going to go from the bottom to the top, starting on the main card, and like we've been doing. And yeah, we'll get to that now. So let me get my notes together here and let me get started, and we'll start off with Asu Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. And you know, with Pereira, he's a little wild, he's a little reckless, and you know, sometimes that costs him. And in this fight, it did cost him a little bit because, you know, against he looks a little vulnerable against high-level grapplers when he's in there just trying to brawl it out. Do you think boxing or MMA is harder straight up? I think MMA is harder just because of the cardio aspect, and you have too many things to think about. You have to worry about elbows, knees, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. You have to worry about so much shit. Obviously you got to have good cardio in boxing as well, but you only have to worry about one aspect of the game, which is, you know, obviously there's more involved in it, but when it comes to the actual striking, you got two things to worry about, the left and the right. When you got the left and the right in various different ways in MMA. So for me, I feel like MMA is the harder thing straight up, but I know people will argue that, and that's okay, but that's just my opinion. So and coming from somebody who hasn't done it in a big fashion in any which way possible, I'm just thinking about in a fight. I've definitely been in plenty of fights, and you know, when you're fighting in the streets, you got to think about all of it too, even though most people don't. You still got to think about what kinds of things can happen. Someone jumping in, getting sucker punched, getting eye gouged, anything like that can happen, and you know what I mean. So that's why MMA is a little bit more of like a real fight. But boxing is boxing. It's the sweet science. It's been around for a long ass time. It's a great sport, and if you know how to box, and in a good fashion and a professional way, you're definitely dangerous. So I don't down on boxing too much. I just feel like as a sport for me to watch all the time, it's tough for me to stay involved and watch every single fight like I do with MMA, because even a boring MMA fight to me outdoes a mediocre boxing match. So but these Zuffa boxing matches have been pretty damn good, so yeah, I'll give them credit for that. But as I was saying, Oleg Zaychuk has trouble with, you know, the high level grapplers, because he's overly aggressive, and, you know, he goes after, you know, a finish and tries to make it a war, and or tries to end it early. But with Abus, he was able to get the first round guillotine choke after taking control of the fight early, and just not allowing Oleg Zaychuk to fight his fight. He kept him at range, and he landed a sharp elbow that really dropped him, as you can see in that top picture. Landed that elbow nicely, and then followed up with some heavy punches on the ground, and then he was able to lock up that guillotine and get the first round finish at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. So it was a good dominant performance for Magomedov, and he called out Israel Adesanya in his post-fight interview, so that's interesting. But yeah, that was a good win for him, and that was the first fight of the night on the main card. So let's see, moving on, we have Ikram Alaskarov versus Bruno Ferreira. This one, I don't know, man. This one was a weird kind of fight. It's like Bruno Ferreira just, I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony, but he just doesn't seem to mix it up well. He doesn't seem to get involved in things that he just can't do. He just wants to fight his one fight, press forward, and sometimes it just seems like what are you doing, man? Like, do something else, you know, get something going. But he's always looking for that one punch knockout, and that kind of, you know, that kind of puts him in a bad position, because he's constantly throwing wild punches, you know, similar to what Oleg Zaychuk does. But I think Oleg Zaychuk has a little better game plan. He's just more aggressive, and I think he has a little better of a way of presenting himself in the fight. Ferreira just kind of, you know, he seemed sluggish. He seemed a little bored in this fight, honestly. So Alaskarov just really didn't give him any opportunity to you know, get anything going, and Alaskarov controlled the range, and he had some crisp striking going on, mixing in the takedowns, and he used his wrestling to neutralize Ferreira's like explosive you know, attempts at offense. And then is Bruno done in his turn? Yeah, I don't know that I see Bruno being able to do anything like anything in the way of getting himself up in the rankings and you know, being able to go for a run. He's 33 years old. He still has time, but you know, and it's not like he has a horrible record. He's 6-4 in the UFC. This puts him on a 2-fight losing streak, because he got TKO'd by RoboCop in his last fight. So overall, he's 15-4. He only has 4 losses, but the problem is he just seems stagnant in MMA right now in the UFC. I feel like with these last 2 fights, you know, of course it's an exciting fight with RoboCop, because RoboCop kind of engaged with him in the striking battle, and Ferreira looked like he had a little bit more fire up under him. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak before he got beat by RoboCop. He had trouble with weight against Vettori, but he won by decision. He beat Jackson McVeigh by submission and beat Armen Petrosian by submission. So you know, but now he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and he's just, like I said, he just looks sluggish. Looks like he doesn't want to do much more than what he's in there to do, which is try to get a big one-punch knockout highlight win. Other than that, it looks like he doesn't really want to grind, and that's just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But it just feels weird. Has RoboCop ever shown his BJJ in the UFC? I've heard he has elite level. I've heard that too. I don't think I've really seen much out of him. You know what I mean? All the fights I remember from RoboCop are either, you know, him losing or him winning in a big way by knocking somebody out or getting into a war. So yeah, I'm not sure that I've seen much of it, but Alex Pereira's a crybaby. Maverick. Yeah, man, I understand why people are saying that. I understand why people are upset with Pereira, especially with you know, it sounds like an excuse train that he's on right now, and not taking blame. But I feel like he needs to take more blame for, you know, getting worked in that fight than he needs to try to push the blame on Herb Dean, or, you know, even on Cyril Gane, even though we know Cyril Gane's kind of a dirty fighter. I hate to say it. Whether he means to be or not, he just is. So that's what, you know, it's tough. It's tough. I hate to say it, but that's just kind of who he is. And I think he needs, if he doesn't give a shit about how he's perceived, as long as he's getting what he wants, then I guess we're never going to see anything different. But I think if he wants to, you know, become a fan favorite of any sort, and he needs to kind of clean up the way he fights and just, you know, maybe pay a tad bit more attention in the process. Alex Pereira elbowed Yuri Prohaska in the back of the head. Yeah, but, you know, like, when we talk about other people, I'm not defending Pereira whatsoever on that note, but what I'm saying about Gane is that you can just go through and find so many times when he, I mean, look at the past two fights, he eye poked Tom Aspinall so much that he's had to have 2 surgeries in each eye, and then, you know, now and then the back of the head shots, which, you know, I think he still would have beat Pereira regardless of that. So not really am I trying to make a case for Pereira against Cyril on that note. I'm just pointing out the facts of what I've seen from Cyril Gane. I like the dude. I feel like he can be a great fighter. He's a great athlete for sure. But I just don't like the dirty, you know, the dirty fighting part. I feel like even if it's not meant to be that from him, then yeah. Did you see all these fighters coming after Herb now? It's Michelle, Alex, and Tom. Yeah, everyone is. Everyone is there. Everyone's finding somebody to blame. You know what I'm saying? And they're valid to a certain extent. It's just people want Gane to lose because they hate John Jones. I don't know how that makes sense though. Because I mean, John Jones just disposed of him easily. So I don't know how that would benefit anybody. I don't know how to take that comment, to be honest with you. I'm assuming you're a Gane fan. I don't know, but for me, I feel like I like the guy. I just don't like his fighting style. I feel like it would be a whole lot better if you could maybe not find something wrong with every single thing he does. Gane winning makes Tom Aspinall look bad and John Jones look good. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. You know, if people want to put all their eggs in that basket of what Gane is doing and how it affects the other fighters that he's fought, I don't give a shit about those things. For me, I'm just like, listen, I don't care if you beat this guy, beat that guy, lost to this guy, lost to that guy. What you're doing right now is what matters. Right now, he's you know, he dominated Pereira and he made him look bad in a weight class above where Pereira's used to fighting. And, you know, he thought he was going to come up there and be able to be the same beast he was at 205. And regardless of the reasoning behind it, he got worked. So, unfortunately for Pereira, that's just how it went down. And he can try to, you know, push the blame off of anywhere and anyone he wants to. But he's got to take accountability for the fact that he got worked in that fight too. So, just like Tom has to take, you know, accountability for getting busted up early on in that fight against Gane. You know, I know we've had that discussion here many a times, but, you know, you could say what you want about Gane having gotten the best of Tom throughout those, you know, first few minutes of that fight before it ended because of the eye pokes. But, you know, a lot of things could have happened after that. So I give Gane the credit for the things that he's done, but I just don't like the aspect of how many times you can find fouls that he you know, continuously does throughout his fights. I just wish he would fight cleanly so that there was none of that could be said. So then you don't have to worry about it and no one has to complain about it all the time. You know what I mean? See, I still think Gane is a great fighter. All that ever happened was he lost to literal all-time greats. The problem too is that he's gotten so many chances for a championship. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you would say, oh, that's because that just shows how good he is. But also it's like, there's a lot of guys out there that are really, really good that could. But when you get that many chances, it's crazy. So it's like, well, of course he's going to win a belt at some point or another. And so now, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Gone just leaves a nasty taste in my mouth when it comes to no Diddy, man. Fuck, why did I say that?
Hey, no Diddy, man.
It just
no
leaves. It gives me a bad feeling. You know, when you find real obvious fouls happening in the fight, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the Pereira fight. So it is what it is. From 247 Jones versus Reyes to 285 Jones versus Gane. So many new fans came in and made John sound like a myth. Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, for sure. Ilia Topuria gassed against Justin Gaethje because he tried to wrestle him instead of just KOing him after the body shots. I would say that he was doing a damn good job at his game plan. I think that Topuria just forgot that he went up a weight class, and that he hadn't really fought somebody like Justin Gaethje in that weight class yet. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was Justin Gaethje's night, and I don't think that anything was going to change that night. I think Topuria did what he could. He almost got the best of Justin Gaethje. Remember those liver shots, man? That's questionable, Antoine. I don't know. Depending on what you've heard in the past about things, it sounds like Diddy's. But yeah, he had a ton of money, so you never know. That's why he'll just laugh it up if he ever gets out. Ilia won the fight in round 2 after the body shots, decided to use an armbar instead. Yeah, maybe he made some mistakes, but you know what? He made those mistakes. Just like you can't make, you know, if you can't allow Pereira to make the excuses about the illegal shots and Herb Dean and all this other shit, you can't make the excuse that somebody got tired, because that's completely on them. If they weren't ready for that fight cardio wise, or they blew their load early, that's on them, and that's more of a reason to blame that fighter than any of the other reasons that Pereira is trying to put out there. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, that's just proven to me that Ilia lost that fight for himself. If he gassed himself out because he was too busy with the wrong game plan, well, that's fighting, man. That's how it goes. That's how you lose a fight. That's how you lose your belt. So unfortunately for him, you know, that's what he did, and that's not an excuse. That's a fact. He gassed himself out, and you can't use that as an excuse as to why Ilia lost that fight. You know what I'm saying? So should Alex stay at heavyweight? I don't think he has a choice now. I don't think he's gonna want to go back down and cut the weight for 205, even though I think 205 shouldn't be that bad for him, but it proved to be good for him when he was down there, except for that fight against Magomedov. But you know, outdoor MMA is easier, more fresh air, better cardio. But what does that prove? You know what I mean? Some people were saying that John Jones is the GOAT. Yeah, I know. Most people think that, and I can understand it. I have a personal vendetta against John Jones, but that's me. I give him his props all the time. I hate that people say he's never had a loss, because once again, he has to have accountability for his actions. He threw illegal shots. He got called for it. They ended the fight, and that's a loss on his record. So for people to continuously say he's never lost, sure, he's never lost because he got beat. He lost because he beat himself. And I don't think that should be an excuse for why everyone should just deny the fact that he's ever lost. You know what I mean? But it's a loss. It sucks, but it's true, and it's on his record, and it hasn't gone away. So but yeah, he is the GOAT, man. I mean, he's proven plenty, but he still has an asterisk next to his name because he popped dirty. Just like I can't make the excuse for Anderson Silva, who I was a fan of forever. He has that asterisk next to his name because he dropped dirty for it. Yeah, rules changed, but that doesn't change history. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, I know it was 12-6 elbow. I'm not trying to argue with you, but I'm just saying those were the rules back then. You know what I mean? The rules back in the day were nothing mattered except for eye gouges, which means we had a guy, you know, there was a guy back in the day who literally was, you know, punching another dude in the nuts. Well, rules changed, so now that's illegal, but it wasn't illegal back then. So should a vice versa be the truth here and allow for nut shots to happen and be legal, because back in the day it didn't matter? You know what I mean? I'm glad that you brought up Silva popping at least. So many people are like, Jones wasn't the GOAT because he took roids. No, for sure, man. And you know, you gotta think about it. I think I think Sean O'Malley popped kind of quietly for it too. So that sucks, but I think that was him at a certain point in time, not during his reign of of being a champion, but still, I mean, if you bring it up for one, you got to bring it up for a lot of guys who did, and a lot of guys were doing roids back in the day, and that's just how it goes. So yeah, Ronda Rousey beats Holly Holm too easily. I don't know, man. Dominic Reyes, man. Yeah, 100%. I feel like Dominic Reyes won that fight too. So that's another argument for John Jones having a loss, but you know, he didn't lose, so I can't rewrite history like that. But it's an argument for, you know, him at least, and Gustafsson too. That was a close ass fight. And if you think about it, if you want to get into semantics, Chael Sonnen almost beat him too, because had that fight not finished when it did, John Jones wouldn't have been able to continue with his toe broken in the manner that it was. That fight would have been stopped, and he would have lost because of that, which sucks. But I think the most powerful thing about John's resume is how there's no image of a guy raining down ground and pound on him. Like even GSP got his face smashed by. Yeah, but people lose, man. Doesn't matter. You can have that happen one time in your life. Look at Topuria. You know, if that never happens to him again in the rest of his career, then no, you know, everyone will just remember that, and that's it. A lot of guys have gotten their ass beat. I don't think getting your ass beat is something that makes you a GOAT or not. You know what I mean? I think John Jones got his ass beat against Gustafsson. Look at how beat up he was. He said he cried like crazy after that because he was in so much pain. His face was deformed. He was fucked up. So sure, nobody was raining punches down on him, but he was getting beat on the feet. And while he didn't go down, you know, Dustin Poirier has body swapped with McGregor. Sorry, I just read that one as it popped up. I'm like, damn, that's hilarious. Oh shit. The argument never made sense to me. High school athletes have popped for roids. Why wouldn't professional fighters be on them? Yeah, exactly. Ronda Rousey might be unstable now, wrestling instead of judo, then armbar quick. Destroyed Gina Carano, a much bigger fighter. Yeah, but Gina hadn't fought in like 20 years, bro. Like I don't know, that fight was a bit of a sham. I hate to say it. It felt bad after the fact. It was just like, for it to go down like that, if it would have been at least, you know, at least a few minutes of fighting, like at least it would have seemed a little better. But oh god, the way that went down, it sucked. But yeah, Dustin Poirier body swapped with McGregor's fucking funny. For sure, that was a crazy fight. I think John's spinning elbow on him was the best strike of the fight, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of big, yeah. That was just a crazy fight. There was a lot of big shots in that fight. But anyway, all right. So that was Ikram versus Bruno Ferreira. So next up we have Asu Almabayev versus Charles Johnson, Energy. And man, this was crazy. I couldn't believe that this is how this fight went down, man. Fucking Asu Almabayev getting that, what is it, Suloev Stretch submission, which is fucking insane. For one, I'll say this, Charles Johnson is he is flexible as shit, man, because Asu held that for a minute before it got bad enough for him to tap. And I'm telling you right now, if my leg got put oh shit.
Damn, son.
I just saw that, Maverick. Yeah, I just no, forget. Oh, I forgot about that one. I forgot about Yoel. Oh shit. Yeah, this was so crazy, man. To have another dude's leg on your shoulder is just crazy. But
hey, no Diddy, man, no Diddy.
Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah. In the third round, man, I think Almabayev kind of controlled the fight for the most part. His wrestling was great. He had a lot of, you know, he was controlling on top and putting down pressure. He had some sharp striking when he engaged in the striking game, and he just never allowed Johnson to kind of get any momentum to really, you know, get anything going that would pose some offense against Asu that would be, you know, dangerous at all to him. So for him to get this Suloev Stretch is just crazy. It's one of the rarest submissions we've seen, and you know, this just like last fight night, we had that like crazy twister, like inverted twister, whatever it was. It was altered twister or some shit like that. It was, but that was crazy too. So now we had 2 crazy submissions in a row. This one just seems a little outlandish. Crazy to think that somebody actually tapped to that, but obviously for obvious reasons he tapped, but it's weird. Do you have a favorite submission? Mine is probably the Brandon submitted Davison. I don't know. I'd have to think about it, man. I'd have to think about it. I don't really know off the top of my head, to be honest. I've heard it's called a Scottish Twister. Yeah, crazy that we had that and the Suloev Stretch back to back. Exactly. I just, you know, you don't see that many. When you see a twister of any sort, it's crazy. But then to have something like this happen, you know, I was reminded on the broadcast during this fight that, you know, Aljamain Sterling caught that submission as well, I think, which is crazy to think that happened anytime recently. But I guess when you find yourself in that position and you know what to do with it, Korean Zombies Twister, 100%. Yeah, I mean, when I saw Bryce Mitchell do it too, I was like just kind of shocked by that as well. Bryce put it in there nicely. So I don't like Bryce Mitchell very much, but that was a great submission. And Bryce needs to get back to his submission game, because I think he was a good fighter when he was relying on that submission offense. That was really good. Zabit and Aljo did them back to back on. Oh, that's right. It was back to back on the same card. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I forgot all about that. I knew Aljo had done it. I just didn't remember it having been done twice in a row. That's right, because Zabit kind of rolled under the guy and rolled him over into this position. Yeah, it was nuts, man. I just fucking, I would love to, I need to go back and watch those again. But yeah, so this was a crazy submission win for Asu Almabayev, you know, not allowing Charles Johnson to really get any offense off, and you know, kind of just took control of the fight throughout the 3 rounds, and then gets this win at 3 minutes and 33 seconds of the 3rd round with this submission. And you know, like I said, I give Charles Johnson props for being able to withstand that for longer than a couple seconds, as Asu just kind of kept stretching him back, and I bet his lower back hurt after that. Anyway, moving on, we have Matheus Camilo versus Nazim Sadykhov. Who wins? Gane versus Tom Aspinall 1.5.
Bruh.
Listen, I mean, I hate the way that everything has gone down with Tom Aspinall, between him and the UFC, all this stuff with the eye pokes, and I don't even know, man. If you know, the argument that Antoine has made a bunch of times is how Gane was doing in that fight against Tom before the eye pokes. So if he stays on this track that he's been on lately, or you know, the way that he fought Pereira, if he fights Aspinall like that, and Aspinall comes out with not being 100% completely, or even being 100%, and fighting the way that he started that fight against Gane the first time, Gane will win for sure. But I think if Tom Aspinall comes out like a new man, fully recovered, fully in shape, and ready to go as he was before all this shit happened, I think Tom gives him a run for his money for sure. And I would like to see Tom Aspinall win. I just don't know that Gane is that guy, but he's definitely been showing a lot more in that direction of being that guy. So I'll give him that credit, and I'll definitely say it's a pick'em fight for me. So we'll have to see. My favorite pay-per-view of all time, UFC 275 personally, that was Glover versus Yuri in Singapore. Yeah, that was a pretty good card for sure. I really have to think about these things, man. I don't have them at the top of my head. I watch so many damn fights, and I pay attention to so many aspects of the fights that for me, I'm like, I'm enthralled in thinking about the stuff for this card, so that, you know, to bring those things up. My memory's not that good. I wish it was. I need to find a way to make my memory better. I need to start taking some supplements or something. It's just gonna get worse as I get older. That's what sucks about getting older. But I'll work on it because yeah, I got to use a lot of brain power at work too, and that's what kills a lot of my stuff, is just have a lot of troubleshooting at work. So no excuse, but it is kind of because I'm also older. You seem like a UFC 100 type of guy. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I got the poster back there. UFC 100, I got it up there. You know, that was Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, George St. Pierre, Thiago Alves, Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping with that fucking crazy knockout of, I mean, I'm sorry, Dan Henderson with that knockout of Bisping. You know what I'm saying? It's like Brock versus Mir was crazy. You know, yeah, that was a crazy one, but I don't think that was my favorite. Not really. I'd have to really think about it, honestly. What would you say is the best thing about getting older? Just being wiser, really. Making better decisions, learning from my mistakes in the past. I see too many older people out there, or people my age that have grown up and gotten older, that really haven't learned from their mistakes in the past, or just develop bad habits that they that make it worse for them and make them look pretty bad as an older person. So I don't know, it's weird. Yo, you watched Dan versus Michael live? What did you have going in that fight? Oh, I was going for Dan Henderson all day. I didn't like Bisping at all. The way that he carried himself back in those days, I hated it. I like him a lot more now, but he's still a little cringe. I hope Nazim bounces back. I consider him the most gun lightweight on the rise. Now he's on 2 fights. Yeah, man, that's what sucks. Yeah, getting back to this, you know, I wasn't expecting much from Camilo. I knew that he's a decent fighter or whatever, but I just didn't see Nas dropping this one, especially the way that it did. Unfortunately, it was a fast. The problem is when you turtle up on the ground and you're not trying to show any kind of movement in the way that you're trying to fight back, and you're just turtling up, they're only going to allow so many punches. But the problem is that I've definitely seen plenty of more punches than 3 or 4 before stopping a fight. So for me, I felt like it was a bad stoppage. I am not watching the World Cup, unfortunately. I've been watching some here and there whenever it's on somewhere. Like I've been to some restaurants while going out for dinner or something, and it's been on, and I'll watch it then. But I haven't really like dedicated to watching any of it at all, unfortunately, because I mean, there's a lot of hype around it this year, but I just never been into watching soccer, or football, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have enough time to watch that dedicate myself to watching that kind of stuff. So anytime I'm not watching anything MMA related, I'm trying to watch shows with my wife and stuff, so that I spend some time with her on the couch, but she doesn't mind watching random sports either. She'll watch soccer when it's on, especially with big events like the World Cup and stuff, and then she'll actually throw some golf on the TV and put that on in the background while she's doing stuff. She'll just she'll turn on a baseball game, of basketball, any of that. So she loves the Olympics too, Antoine. So yeah, I do watch some of them because she'll have them on. So it'll be on my TV at home anytime any of the Olympics are on. So I do catch some of that here and there. I don't mind it. I just don't purposely go out and seek it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, as far as Sadykhov goes, man, I am sad about the fact that he dropped this fight, especially because I feel like he wasn't done. I think he got hurt, but I feel like he could have had a chance to recover. And I feel like it was early, as a minute and 31 seconds into the first round. Yeah, he got dropped hard. The way that he fell, I think, is the reason why the ref kind of jumped on it immediately and didn't give him much time, because he thought maybe he was out. So it was unfortunate, but great win for Camilo. I feel like it's a massive win for him, as far as the fact that he was kind of the underdog coming in, fighting the guy from the area and stuff like that. And and you know, Nas was heavily favored. So yeah, it's a legitimate win for him, and it's, you know, it's a good win for his career. By the way, Asu Almabayev got the bonus for his performance over Charles Johnson. I forgot to mention that. Camilo is now 2-1 in the UFC. Why are my dogs freaking out? 2-1 in the UFC. This puts him on a 2-fight win streak. He beat Slavaklazin, Vyacheslav Borshev. He beat him by decision in his last fight before beating Nas in this fight. And yeah, like Maverick said, who said it? Somebody said, yeah, Junior said now Nas is on a 2-fight skid, because unfortunately he was coming off a loss, his first loss in the UFC over Faraz Ziam, and he got TKO'd in that one as well. So now he's on a 2-fight losing streak with 2 TKO losses. So that's tough, but I think they're not going to hold this one against him too much, because it kind of seemed like a quick stoppage. So I always think about how I'll be 4 years older when it comes on. Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think Conor McGregor turns up or called the fight off, injured, sick? I think he'll drop out. Conor doesn't need the money. Conor would be better off rematching Mayweather instead in boxing. No need to use your leg kicks. Well, here's the thing, man. My buddy who was in here for the White House card, Josh, he's been in here for a lot of the watch parties. He says he'll believe it when he sees Conor actually walk out to the cage. My thing is yes, I understand that he dropped out with the foot injury the last time or whatever, but I think this time is different. I think this time he really wants to be in there. He really wants to fight, and he really wants to get out of this contract, it seems like, too. Either get out of the contract or fight for something that matters, as in a title or something. So I think it's going to be one or the other after he's done with the 2 fights on his contract. And you know, he sounds like he's been wanting to fight, but they just haven't made it happen. So for me, I feel like it's not about the money for Conor. If it was about the money, then he would be looking for more of a Mayweather matchup instead of going into MMA, because he's going to make more money off of that. So it's not about the money, and I think that's why he wants to finish off his contract with the UFC, because he can't do anything else until he does that. I don't think the UFC is going to allow him to do anything else with how long he's been out and stuff like that. They want to make the money off him because he's under their contract. So I don't think he's ever going to get out and do anything else until he's able to be released from that contract. So I definitely think he fights this time, unless something crazy happens, which I understand that's kind of what you're saying, but I don't think that there's going to be an easy dropout this time. I think it's going to take it a lot for him to not fight this time. But for me, looking at it now, we're less than 2 weeks out. I'm thinking he's making the walk. Man, McGregor only pulled out once in his entire career, and that was against Chandler. Yep. And the bad part about that is he talks so much shit about Rafael dos Anjos breaking his foot, where he had actual proof that his foot was broken, and you know, and yet Conor just talked mad shit, and then Conor turns around and does the same thing against Chandler. So it's like, come on. I don't think it was the foot problem. I think there was a whole lot of other things going on at that time that stopped him from actually fighting that time too. So I'm sure Conor will make it to the fight fine. I think so. Like I said, we're within 2 weeks here. I think we're getting close enough to you know, call it good, but it's tough with Conor, man. It's tough. Also, I know we talked about Floyd last episode. Do you think he's going to serve real jail time, like if he gets convicted of fraud? I don't know, man. I think Floyd's a dumbass, and you know, it's just stupid. I think we would be hearing a lot more about it if it was something that was going to be crazy serious. We'll just have to wait and see. I really don't care, to be honest with you. It's sad to see him go out like that, but like Maverick said, he's been to jail before, and he's done so much stupid shit at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. Mayweather served 60 days in Las Vegas jail out of an initial 90-day sentence. He was incarcerated on domestic battery charges stemming from a 2010. Yeah, Floyd's a dumbass. I hate these guys that can have all the money in the world, but because they don't know how to manage it correctly, or they feel like they have so much money that nothing can touch them, and then they go and do some dumb shit and let it happen like that. Do you think OJ's the craziest sports story involving a crime ever? Probably, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, probably because of the fact that he was never fully convicted on the actual murder. But if you think about Aaron Hernandez, is crazy too, though, considering he got convicted and then the way that his life ended up and stuff, you know, that's pretty crazy too. But I think OJ for sure, with the way that whole court case went down and how it's a part of history now. Yeah, that's for sure the craziest one, I think. All right, moving on to the co-main event. Yeah, the Hernandez shit was weird. Yeah. Shara Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. Floyd's mishappen are all his fault, by the way. No showing on cards. He main events, not paying taxes since 2018, all on him. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. That's what I'm saying. Floyd's a dumbass. Just the dumb shit. He just thinks he's untouchable, and he should know by now he's not untouchable. Money can't buy you out of everything. You know what I'm saying? Kim Kardashian's dad was the lawyer. He was. Yeah, which was nuts. Do you remember when the verdict came out in 1994? I sure the fuck did. I sure the fuck do. Yeah, so Shara Bullet though, man, I mean, this fight was pretty good, I think. You know, I feel like I thought it could be a little more exciting. I thought it was gonna be a little more exciting, but I mean, for the most part, you had kind of everything in this. You know, in the beginning, like Michel Pereira dropped Shara Bullet in the first round, so you know that was exciting, and I was wondering kind of what was gonna happen with that. And he kind of mixed in some grappling in there that kind of got to Shara Bullet, but then Shara kind of settled in from there, and he found his range with the kicks, and you know he's got those crazy kicks, really sharp kicks that he adds into all of his combinations, and sometimes he throws just straight kick combinations, which is a little crazy too. He spams those kicks like crazy, and they're damaging. So and then, you know, in the third round, I think it was 1-1 going into the third, and I think that you know, he just had more effective striking in that third round. It seemed like Pereira was a little gassed and just wasn't able to put it together enough to be able to edge out that fight. The only problem with Shara is that, you know, we had those couple of man, I don't get it, man. Like Herb Dean told him 3 times to stop pulling the hair, and he was quite literally just, you know, blatantly pulling his ponytail. And I'm just like, how do you not take he even said, I'm gonna take, I thought he actually took the point, but he said, I'm gonna take a point if you don't quit that. And I'm just like, why did you just not take the point after so many fucking warnings and slapping his hand away? So there was an eye poke at point 2, but the hair pulling was egregious. It was stupid. But 29-28 on the judges' scorecards, all 3 for Shara Bullet. I was like, if this goes to the scorecards, it's so close that they're 100% going to give it to him, and they did. That's why their family became famous. They got keeping up with the Kardashians. Well, let's get it right. I mean, they became famous more for Kim and what she did. I wouldn't say they got famous from the OJ trial. I think they got known for that family got known for a little more for the OJ trial, but they really got famous coming from Kim K. So, and the mom pretty much orchestrated all of that, but that's a whole other thing. Shara has like no hands. I think he's the only fighter I've seen that only has kicks. It's a good point, Junior. Why are Caucasians so good at MMA? Caucasians, aka people from the Caucasus Mountains, like Khabib, Islam wrestling background. I think it's just the way that they're raised, man. Honestly, the way that they're raised, you know, they're out in that country, they work hard, manual labor type shit, and wrestling's a way of life out there. They go to school, and within school it's wrestling. It's like, that's just how it goes. So I just think that is their culture, you know, just like in Thailand, Muay Thai is their culture, that they come up knowing that shit. So, you know, at least they used to. I don't know how it is these days, but that's just kind of how it goes. So that's the way it is for them in their country. I think it's just a cultural thing. Do you think Herb Dean is still a UFC caliber ref? I mean, I think he's under the spotlight right now, and it's not looking good for him. But listen, the refs are the refs. There's always going to be bad refs, just like in any sport. There's bad refs in basketball. Everybody hates the everybody hates the authoritative figures. You know what I mean? The ones that are controlling the gameplay, controlling the pace of fights, the guys that are saying this or saying that. Anybody who's an official of any sort, whether they're a judge, a doctor, a fucking ref, everyone's gonna hate him. And I just think that Herb Dean's in the spotlight right now for a lot of things that he's done in the past that are getting brought up again because of the way that he's been reffing lately. So sometimes there comes a point in time, I feel like if it's egregious enough, he'll disappear. And kind of like what are their names? There was a couple guys in there that disappeared after a lot of just horrible fucking calls, and just never, you know, and just never came back. So Steve Mazzagatti being one of them. Did you watch the show with your daughters growing up, or did they not like reality TV? No, I didn't let my daughters watch that show. They weren't interested in that show anyway. If anybody watched that show, it was my wife. And you know, if I was sitting there with her, I wouldn't say I was watching it, but I was probably there for it. But you know, it is what it is. Herb Dean is just as good as any other ref. It's just that he's under a magnifying glass ever since Pineda. Yeah, exactly. Hell of a fighter, bit someone's ear on this card and no one called the ref out. Who bit someone's ear? I don't remember that. Was that on this card? Is that what you're saying? Did you watch Jersey Shore? Yeah, actually, yeah, I did watch Jersey Shore. I did. Jersey Shore was entertaining. I know a lot of people hated it, but I thought it was funny. Let's see. Real World, yeah, I did. I watched Real World from the beginning, which was crazy. Okay, moving on to the main event. Nascimento complained about an ear bite. Ref did absolutely nothing. Oh, got you. Okay, I didn't remember that part. Nascimento. So that was that first fight, huh? Yeah, that first fight was garbage against Tahir Abdullayev. That was just a funky ass fight, which we're getting to the prelims here in just a minute. The rankings are funky, man. That's actually something I want to talk about this week coming up on Thursday when I come back for the show on Thursday. I did want to talk about the new ranking setup. I don't know if the pound for pound rankings have been removed, but I know that the AI portion of the rankings do not include pound for pound, from my understanding. So I don't know if they fully removed them or what, because now they're doing like a two-layer thing where they have AI rankings and then mixed with the media rankings, or AI and media separately. I don't know what it is, man. It's kind of funky and weird and fucking kind of stupid. You can't see them. Yeah, I couldn't find them either last time. So maybe they did just remove them until they decide how they're gonna work out the ranking system for that. But if they work this long on doing the AI rankings in general, I kind of feel like it's just because Meta's involved now and they're a sponsor, that they want something to grab onto and be a part of the fight game. So they gave them the rankings to do it AI. You know what I mean? So who knows? I'll look more into the ranking stuff this week, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Are they going to implement the AI rankings? Because I thought they'd use it on this card. Well, I mean, you got to think the matchups get made, you know, before the card, well before the card. You think about it, you know, we get the, I mean, I know the card will change all the way up until the fight for the most part, but I feel like they announce a card like a couple months in advance, at least for the most part on average, and they usually have the card filled up by then. So the AI rankings thing just came out, so I mean, I don't think we're gonna see that implemented until these upcoming, you know, cards that haven't really been, you know, been made yet, until these rankings started. So I don't know. Who knows? Are they ever going to implement? Like if they don't, what's even the point of them? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I think it's a whole sponsorship thing with Meta more than anything. You said that AI is good for the future, right? In some ways. I didn't say that 100%. In some ways, AI is good. I just don't think we have a choice. I think that everything something like iRobot could ever happen. Possibly. it's getting more and more real as we come to see all these robots in the streets now. You know what I'm saying? Like these little robot guys that RoboCop. Yeah, they, you know, they're using robot. I've seen streamers with robot dogs as pets, and a lot of it was probably for content more than anything, but they still were walking a robot dog out in the open on stream like it was, you know, regular. Tesla self-driving taxis, exactly. I mean, that's where it starts too. And they're already talking about trying to implement or trying to roll out like a robot that's gonna kind of like iRobot, that's gonna come in and be able to do your household chores for you and shit like that. So, you know, things, I think things are in the process, in the making. A lot of people use AI, don't even realize it. Whenever you Google shit, AI is a part of that already. You don't really have a choice. Maybe you can turn it off, I don't know, but I haven't gone through to try to figure it out. Self-driving Knight Rider kit cars. Damn, Maverick, are you close to my age? Because a lot of people don't remember Knight Rider that much, but Knight Rider was dope. Like, do you think in 2075 the world will have flying cars and stuff? Not even on some fairy tale shit. Listen, I've already seen some videos of cars that they're trying to evolve into a somewhat of a flying car, but when it comes down to it, they said at this point in time we'd already have flying cars, and we don't. But I do think we're getting a lot closer than we were when they talked about that back in the day. AI is so weird to me. It's like every company in the world hopped on this trend and gave no one the choice to opt out of it. Exactly, Junior. That's what I'm saying. It's not about when it's going to be here. It's about the fact that it's here already. Listen, I use AI to a certain extent. I use AI to do the things I don't like to do, which is like trying to get all of my notes in order and make sure that I have things covered. I put that into ChatGPT and I fucking make sure that I have something that I can reference quick and easy and without having to put too much work behind it and too much thought into it. So I give it what I wanted to organize for me and have it organize it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of all I use AI for in this show. You've seen, if you were here, I tested out a AI co-host, and you know, I'd have to pay for the service in order, which I should have probably done just to see how it really went, but I just didn't care that much. Flying cars exist now, but they're just glorified helicopter drones. That's true, Maverick. Actually, that's what I'm saying, is I've seen some videos of them trying to actually say that flying cars are on the you know, in development right now. And you know, yeah, basically they have certain things that are technically like a flying car. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is it's not far off. So it's all interesting shit, but you know, a lot of it can benefit us, but there's consequences to those types of things too. And you know, just like every other failure or every other evolution of things in life, you know, there's failures to it. And the internet, which we're on right now, is one of those things that people hated, thought that it was going to be the end of society and the end of the world because of you know, the evolution of the internet and how fast it grew and all that shit. And look, here we are, fucking cell phones. You know what I'm saying? Everybody thought the end of the world was coming when these things became popularized, when the iPhone came out, changed the game. But we've evolved to adapt to all of it, and now it's a part of our lives and our everyday lives. Most people don't fucking go anywhere without their phone. So, and if you're the special one that does, I'm happy for you, but most people don't. Most people don't go anywhere without their phone. AI uses clean drinking water to stay cool. Man, I don't know. I understand that, but I feel like that's something that if it doesn't get used one way, it gets used another. And yeah, it's like, how are we gonna, they're gonna develop, like, this is what I hate about AI. How is AI so smart but yet can't develop some other way to not utilize resources that are important to us? How come they can't use the technology that they're using, saying that it's the future, we're well advanced and blah blah blah? Why can't they use that to fix some of the problems that we need to have fixed, including a problem of its own, which is using water and killing our water supplies to keep it cool? Come up with something. Why? You're so fucking smart and you know everything. Do that. What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? But that's that's far and beyond my fucking pay grade. I've definitely wrapped up in technology and you know, stuff like that when it comes to things that are included in my job, not only in my job but also in my regular everyday life. It's crazy to think about, and I could go on and on about this shit because it is stuff I think about, but I just try not to let it get to me. And you know, I'm only one person. There ain't no way I'm making a difference in changing any of that, but it's fun to talk about sometimes. So I guess as I went on a fucking rant about it for about 10 minutes right now. So anyway, that's because I'm you know, I'm also just responding to you guys as well. So why do companies love it so much with AI having such a short lifespan? It's like a company loving the new hire who hasn't even done anything too significant yet. Junior, you just answered your own question, bro. That's what fucking companies do. You know what I'm saying? That new shiny thing that comes in that seems to be the end all be all like fix for everything is always what they fucking focus on. And when it backfires on them, it's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. You know what I mean? And all the money that got put into it, it's like, you know, it'll be all right. But yeah, it's always that new guy that comes in that fucking likes to shine the old hitch on the truck, if you know what I mean. And that's what AI is to all these people. It's you know, yeah, it's the guy that'll do that. That's what AI is to them, and of course they're gonna love it and think it's the best thing in the world. Have AI having such a short lifespan, I'm not sure what you mean by that. That one's a little off to me, but I just don't understand what you're saying by that one. See, even with flying cars, I just wonder if the world would just look like this forever. Yeah, I can only imagine people who lived in the 1700s and 1800s, like how different life was back then. Because if they don't have to train, it. Oh, Happy, yeah, you're definitely one of those guys that would know a little more too. If a flying car breaks down, ouch. That's a good point, Maverick. That's what would make me not want to have to do that. AI doesn't take vacations or need time off, so they love it. There you go. Cars break down all the time, 100%. And you know, planes don't break down as much as cars do, but they have problems, and we see what happens when the planes have problems. That's a bad thing. We've seen a lot of helicopters lately, a lot of stories in the news of helicopters failing, you know, tragically failing. So yeah, it's tough, man. But Happy, you hit it on the head right there, man. Fucking AI doesn't take vacations or need time off. They just need that water to keep them cool, apparently. So when we start running out of that, then what? That's the only kind of lifespan I see on that, unless it just takes a turn for the worse. But the people that are making the money off of it are going to be the people that want to keep it going no matter what. Those corrupt fucking billionaires that want to keep those billions or make more. If you're a celebrity, do not go into a helicopter. Yeah, man. That's the truth. But anyway, getting back to the fights. That was fun. But getting back to the fights. Rafael Fiziev in the main event. Bro, this couldn't have gone any better for him. I couldn't believe the way this shit. Yeah, Kobe. That's number one. But dude, lately, helicopters have been fucking too much, man. But Fiziev just couldn't have had it go any better except for maybe getting it done in the first round. 53 seconds into the second round, he you know, gets that spinning wheel kick fucking knockout. I mean, obviously it didn't end right away after the spinning wheel kick, but that's what definitely knocked Torres down. And Fiziev just followed up with shots on the ground. And you know, Torres, I mean, he seemed competitive in the beginning in the first round. He pressured forward with some big, heavy combinations. Fiziev stayed, you know, he stayed in there. He stayed composed and was able to, you know, find his timing and catch on to the way Torres was fighting. And then early in round two, man, he just came out on a different level. And that spinning wheel kick just landed perfectly, dropping Torres instantly. And then, you know, he followed up with strikes that, you know, that landed on the ground. Torres was out of it, and that was it, man. That was it for the main event. Fiziev just looked impressive, and I just couldn't believe that he came out with that spinning wheel kick so quickly and landed it like he did. I mean, Torres blocked the kick, but that kick was strong enough to get through that block, and then Fiziev just finished it. Torres found his opening right at the end of the first with the southpaw jab, and Rafa didn't let him capitalize in the second. Yeah, he didn't give him any time whatsoever. Crazy the head kicks even when blocks still KO people. Yup, that's exactly what I mean, Maverick. That's a powerful kick, man, that gets through. You got to think the gloves, 4-ounce gloves, they don't have a whole lot of protection like a boxing glove. So, you know, especially for a kick, I don't even know if a boxing glove is going to really help much on a kick that's powerful enough. So, but without any extra cushion in there, yeah, getting that kick's going to get through and still rattle that brain and knock you down. So that's what Torres found out here, and that's what happened with this fight in the main event. So we had Asu Almabayev got in on the main card, got a bonus, and then Fiziev got a bonus as well. Performance of the night for that knockout. Torres' feet were too close together, and he only had one arm up. That kick would have dropped him 10. Oh, 100%. Do you think Torres is looking like a guy who can't break through, or is the UFC more complex than that? Yeah, I mean, I think Torres, this is just a setback for him. I think he's going to come back, and, you know, he was on a decent run. Fiziev, you know, was looking to bounce back after a loss. Torres was on a 2-fight win streak with TKO wins in the first round over Drew Dober and Grant Dawson. All of his fights had been in the first round. None of his fights had gone out of the first round. So this was the first time he got out of the first round, and then, you know, in the first time he gets out of the first round, he gets knocked out quickly within the first minute, which is a damn shame for him. You know, he had a bunch of between Fiziev and him, they had a ton of bonuses. So I knew that, or I had a feeling that this fight was going to be exciting, and for it to end like that, you know, it just fulfilled, you know, what everyone was thinking was going to happen. So Torres does overswing sometimes. He needs to tighten that up because he'd be a sniper's delight. Yeah, the guys that are super technical are going to definitely pick him apart with that. I feel like Fiziev may not be that super technical guy, but he definitely came out ready to go and wasn't going to let Torres, you know, capitalize on what happened at the end of the first round. So he took advantage and struck first and made, you know, and did it with a vengeance. And he put all of his power behind that kick and he landed it. So props to him for that one. That's a big win for Fiziev, bouncing back from the loss he was coming off of, but he had only been losing to the bigger names. He lost to Hoofy in his last fight by TKO. And then before that, he lost to Justin Gaethje twice and Mateusz Gamrot, but he had so many fucking bonuses in there, and he collects another one now with this win over Manuel Torres in his home country, Azerbaijan. So that was it for the main card. Let's go over these prelims real quick before we get out of here. And it's been fun so far, man. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll get through these. We'll get through these prelims, and then we'll check out how my picks did and how the Fight Wheel picks did, and then we'll get out of here. So we'll start off from the bottom to the top with these prelims as well. And I was talking about this fight earlier. This was a horrible fight, man. Nascimento, for some reason, was just running in circles. It made no sense. Abdullayev just couldn't really catch up. He tried cutting off the cage a bunch of times, but basically Nascimento for the first 2.5 rounds was just running around in circles, and Abdullayev just was trying to jump in there and catch him as much as he could and cut the cage off, but Nascimento was giving him very little to work with. The guy in the black shorts. Oh yeah. So that's what somebody was saying earlier, that that Nascimento was complaining about the ear biting thing or whatever. We'll just call him Mike Tyson, you know what I'm saying? I don't remember that part, to be honest with you. I was kind of disgusted with this fight. It was annoying. But you know, it did end in a finish, even though I'm not sure that it was 100% the best finish in the world. But 4 minutes and 28 seconds left of the third round. Abdullayev was able to get on top and drop some ground and pound with the hammer fist and stuff. So Nascimento gets TKO'd, and that was it for that. It was kind of controversial considering you know, the way that it ended and how the whole fight went. I was annoyed by Nascimento running around in circles, but Abdullayev just couldn't do anything about it either. So it was just a very irritating fight all the way around. So yeah. Do I have anything planned for this week? Not really, man. And it was a stupid stoppage. Yeah. From the sounds of it, I was glad I missed the fight live. This fight for sure was just dumb. I seen clips on Twitter of the ear bite. Yeah, you know, I actually haven't seen any clips, so I kind of forgot about that part. But maybe I need to go pay attention to that one a little more. But obviously it didn't matter because no one fucking did anything about it, which is a damn shame. So I just think that was a shit fight altogether for that one. I mean, yeah, sure, glad we got a finish out of it, but it wasn't even spectacular. It was just kind of like, thank God the guy running around got fucking beat on a little bit. But also, if Abdullayev bit his ear, that's kind of fucked too. So, stupid ass fight. Let's just forget about it, basically. That's the way I feel. Anyway, next up we had Bekzat Almahan versus John Matsumoto, and I thought Almahan was going to come out the winner in this one. And I feel like this one was just kind of a weird, I don't know. I haven't seen too many people complaining or arguing the fact that Matsumoto won. And I thought Almahan kind of did, you know, I feel like he landed more, he caused more damage, as you can see in Matsumoto's face in that second picture. You can even see some of the damage in the first picture. I mean, Matsumoto, you know, he had a good composed performance, I guess, for the most part, but he did get caught a lot. I guess he outworked Almahan, and that's what gave him the win. Matsumoto just kind of had some good striking and some grappling in time. Like, the best parts of the rounds, he was getting good takedowns and stuff like that. And I feel like because Almahan didn't do enough, I guess, but I mean, he busted open Matsumoto's face. So I don't know, I just didn't agree with this one that much. So it was kind of weird for me with the way that the decision came out in favor of John Matsumoto, but that it is what it is. So Matsumoto gets a win by unanimous decision. And then we get back to exciting shit with Daniil Donchenko versus Theodore Berggren. And with this one, Donchenko, man, just Berggren was giving him, you know, a decent fight in the beginning. This one got to the second round, and a minute and 35 seconds in, Donchenko took advantage and was able to kind of do the same thing that Fiziev did and land a head kick through the block, and was able to wobble Berggren and then finish him off with that big punch that, as Berggren was going down, Donchenko landed that big punch, and that's what really finished him off. But yeah, this leaves him undefeated in the UFC still. It was a competitive opening round, though, I'll say that. Berggren really gave Donchenko a run for his money in that first round. He looked pretty big. Him and Donchenko pretty similar size. And yeah, he was just like he was a good opponent for Donchenko, but Donchenko came in and was like, hey, I've been here before, I'm gonna do this again, and was able to get it done in the second round. And then you know, he hurt him with that head kick, and then he swarmed him with those punches. That one in the bottom picture there is the one that really hurt him and put him down. And yeah, really great finish, really exciting fight. Another one in the second round. Donchenko looks so much bigger compared to his regional fights. Do you think UFC has turned the Paramount era? I wonder what diet. Maybe he's just on a better diet, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's just because you know, some of these guys, they go to the PI and stuff like that, so and some of that helps them, or maybe he's just been able to pay for better, you know, who knows, or maybe he's just on some supplements. You never know. But do you think the UFC has turned it around in the Paramount? Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this already once. I mean, yeah, it's been turned around. Especially with the White House card, made a big difference. We've had a few cards leading up to that were really good. So yeah, I think the beginning was rough, but now it's made a change for the better. So diet, yeah, exactly, Junior. I didn't know if I wanted to go that route at first, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that could very well be the case. So either way, he looked like a beast. Berggren looked just as big as him, though, in this one. But I guess if you're, you know, comparing him to regional scene stuff, you know, I can understand why you would think that. So moving on, we had Con Ofley versus Javier Reyes. Man, Ofley really took advantage of this one and got it done you know, he was the underdog in this one against Javier Reyes, and he gets that arm triangle choke in the first round with 45 seconds left. Reyes was favored on this one, and but hopefully just kind of wasted no time getting the fight to the mat. You know, he landed some good strikes and was able to get this one finished at the end of the first round with the submission over Javier Reyes. And oh yeah, Daniil Danchenko got the performance of the night bonus as well, just in case I forgot to mention that. But yeah, Khan Ofli comes in as the underdog, gets the submission win. That was a fun fight for while it lasted. And how does Khan keep doing this? He won his last fight, which was a robbery, and pounded this dude out. I don't know, man. Let's see, who was his last fight against? Oh, Yiza. Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was a majority decision for Ofli. He's on a 3-fight win streak now because he beat Ricardo Ramos by submission as well. So I mean, it's not lucky if he's getting submissions. I would say the decision thing, yeah, I can understand that one, but you know, he was on a 2-fight losing streak before he got onto this 3-fight win streak. He lost his first 2 fights in the UFC, so you know, he's been the underdog and keeps pulling off the win. So I don't know, man, but he's doing the damn thing. So do you think the UFC was worth yeah, I think more than like, yeah, sure, yeah. Look at what happened. I mean, so many, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's just too big of a thing for me to even is it worth it? No, it doesn't matter what I think, really. $7.7 billion is way above anything I could ever even dream of. So for me to say whether it's worth it or not, who the fuck knows? It's nice to see the sport that and the organization I follow is, you know, is so valuable, but you know, it was 4-point-something billion the first time they sold it, and then they sold it, you know, or I'm sorry, when they sold it, it was 4-point-something billion, and now they get a deal for 7.7 billion. It's just crazy, man. Money goes up, but so do the prices of everything else. So it's just almost like a cost of living type situation. You know what I mean? The money's going to go up. The worth is going to go up because the money you know, everything costs more. So you got to pay more too. And that's just how it goes. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. I don't really know what to say to that one. Anyway, moving on. Nursultan Ruziboyev versus Andre Pulev. Ruziboyev extending his win streak. Another first round finish for him. He's now 5-1 in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight win streak with a TKO over Eric McConaughey, a decision over Dustin Stoltzfus in his last fight, and now he gets a first round submission over Andre Pulev. You know, he got that rear naked choke, and I mean, really the ref kind of stopped it, but by the time Ruziboyev let it go, it took that extra second or two of holding that choke to put Pulev out, as you can see in that bottom picture. Do I think the ticket prices ever get lowered? I don't think so. Not until everything else drops in prices. But you know, when we start seeing things rise in prices, it takes a long time, and it's very few and far between that we start seeing things like that get lowered in price. So, but again, numbers and money like that aren't my thing, so I don't know. But yeah, Ruziboyev held that choke a little bit longer. Yeah, it is a crazy picture, man. It's kind of sad to see, really, but it's one of the only other pictures I could find, which was tough. And then when they showed the replay, you could actually see Pulev's eyes rolled to the back of his head. It was like, damn. It was nuts. But yeah, Ruziboyev with a dominant win there in the first round over Andre Pulev. Pulev now drops to 1-3 in the UFC, and that puts him on a 2-fight losing streak with a loss to Atiba Gauthier in his last fight, and now Nursultan Ruziboyev in this one. So moving on, the fastest knockout of the night, and also getting a performance of the night bonus, Abdul Rahman Yakayev versus Julius Walker. And you know, Julius Walker, man, he got dropped hard with that right hand, right? And you know, everyone's thinking that Yakayev's gonna go out there, to get it to the mat and wrestle him down to the mat and grapple him and submit him as he's done in so many of his other fights. And instead he comes out there and within 8 seconds drops a huge right hand and drops Julius Walker to the ground. And then Walker like gets knocked the fuck out basically as Yakayev jumps on him, and I think he hit him with another shot or two. But wasn't Walker undefeated at the beginning of this year? Was he? At the beginning of this year? No. He lost to Alonzo Menefield in February of last year. That was his first loss. And then he beat Rafael Carcaria in August of last year, and then this year he hasn't gotten a win. He lost to Dustin Jacoby by TKO in February, and now he lost to Yakayev by TKO in this fight. So yeah, Julius Walker, I mean, he got up and he seemed fine, so that was good, but damn, he got knocked out hard. And Yakayev gets the 8-second knockout on the first punch he threw, which was exciting as hell. So that was a fun fight to watch. And that brings us to the last fight on the prelims. Farman Hassanov versus Eric Nolan. This was an okay fight. I mean, there was some action here and there. I think Hassanov was he was somewhat dominant because of the fact that he controlled the fight for the most part, but it was a little boring. As you can see, he got some strikes off on Eric Nolan. He did bust his face open a little bit, but I think it was more just he had relentless wrestling. He's just takedown after takedown, control time, gets him a big win, but it wasn't in the most exciting fashion, especially after the 8-second knockout that Yakayev had. So maybe that was the problem, but either way, he gets a dominant win over Eric Nolan, and that keeps him undefeated at 6-0 as he made his UFC debut coming in here undefeated, and he stays undefeated with a unanimous decision win over Eric Nolan, who's now 8-5, and that puts him to 0-2 in the UFC because he lost by submission to Baisinger Susukairev. So obviously Susukairev is more of an exciting opponent that you can understand why he got that loss to him. But Hassanov, he seems okay. We'll see if he can turn up the volume on some striking or something, do a little more. He started to get pretty gassed at the end of the at the third round, actually going into the third round. So that seemed like a problem too. If Nolan would have been able to hang in there and freshen back up by the third round, he might have had a chance to turn it around, but definitely couldn't do it. Hassanov gets the win, and that does it for the prelims. So let's take a look at how I did with my picks against the Fight Wheel predictions. I went 4-2. The Fight Wheel went 1-5. I picked Fiziev to win the main event versus Torres. The Fight Wheel picked Torres, so I got that one. I picked Shara Bullet over Pereira. The Fight Wheel picked Pereira, so I got that one. We both picked Nazim Sadykhov, and of course he lost, so we both missed that one. I picked Asu Almabayev over Johnson. The Fight Wheel picked Johnson. I picked Ikram Aliskerov to beat Bruno Ferreira, and the Fight Wheel picked Bruno. So I got that one too. And then I picked Michel Pereira to beat Abu Magomedov, and the Fight Wheel predicted Abus, and that was the only one the Fight Wheel got right, unfortunately. So 4-2 for me, 1-5 for the Fight Wheel, not too bad. Do you think Eric Nolan is UFC caliber? I don't know much about Eric Nolan, to be honest with you. I think that was a weird fight for him anyway. So yeah, I mean, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Let's see what he does on his next one, and then maybe I can tell, but I don't know right now. Anyway, that's how I did on the Fight Wheel predictions, or against the Fight Wheel predictions. So a little better this week than last week, but either way, not too bad. And that about does it, man. Fun conversations in between there about some AI and technology. I really don't mind those conversations because, a lot of people have differing opinions on AI and stuff like that. I don't get into too many conversations with people about AI for the most part, except for the random, here and there, they can do this or do that. Have you seen it do this or do that? The other thing I do use AI for, I just thought about, is I've actually made a lot of my background music using AI. Suno, if you've ever heard of it. I've actually used Suno to make a lot of my background music because technically it's fair use type shit because I had AI create it. So there's no one there to like say they made this music and, you know, trademark, copyright bullshit. So yeah, I do use AI a little more than I thought. But you know, and I've made some of my thumbnails with AI. Like I think the Miami card with Yuri versus Carlos Olberg, I made a couple of AI thumbnails that I thought were pretty cool. But I try to stay away from it, from creating my thumbnails and shit like that, because that's my creative part. You know what I mean? I may not be creating it from the bare bones up to what it becomes. Sometimes I use templates. Sometimes I just, you know, put it together. So it's a little bit of everything, and I need all the help I can get. It's only me, so I got to make thumbnails. I got to put together all my visuals. I got to have my notes in order. I got to put my back, you know, a lot of this is self-implemented too, because I choose to have the background music. I choose to have the type of visuals I have. I choose to have a layout like this. So, you know, those are by choice from me. And I put that on myself, but I just feel like it makes the show better, you know, and I constantly try to keep it as fresh as possible. When I feel like it's getting stagnant, I try to change things up. So for me, if AI is going to help me with that, I'll just do it. But if not, you know, I don't use it. So I try not to use it for things that I feel like I should be, you know, using my own brain on and all that. So yeah. I work all week, every week, Monday through Friday. So how many hats do you have, give or take? I don't know, but that might be something else I bring out is all my hats and show you guys all the hats I have, because you just see one here and there. I try to change it up most of the time and not wear the same one too often close to each other. So I have plenty of hats though. I would say pushing like 30, maybe a little over. How many hats do you have? And what's the most expensive hat you have in your possession? My going rounds hats are the most expensive, and that's because they're custom. I wear all fitted hats, except I have a couple snapbacks. I don't wear them very often. I wear all fitted hats because that's just my thing. I couldn't afford fitted hats back in the day, so now that I can, that's what I like to buy. I just like the fit better too. So I don't have a glass case. I have, actually, I think it's shoe holders, like those clear boxes with the magnetic. I'll take pictures whenever I bring out my hats, and I'll show you how I have them set up in my room. So I have not watched The Ultimate Fighter yet. I might go and watch some of it soon, but I don't know. I'm not that interested, to be honest with you. So anyway, yeah, that about does it for me. It's been fun. Good conversation in the middle there, even though it didn't have a whole lot to do with MMA. But I like having conversations about other things as well. It's actually pretty good. Okay, I'll give it a shot then. I'll watch it when I have some time. I just have to remember. That's the problem, is I'll forget. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. If you're not subscribed already, please do that as well. Hit the notification bell so you know when I put out any content at all, whether it's a short, a random video, or when I go live. Because yeah, I just put out a short earlier today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's there. I also put out other stuff on TikTok and stuff like that. So go follow me on all the social medias and all that as well. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll be back on Thursday with some content for you guys, as much of MMA stuff as I can think of. And I got a few things in mind. So come back on Thursday and we'll have some good stuff for you. All right, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.